Hello everyone and welcome to the free 5-day sleep academy. So my name is Kate Cohen and I am your guide for the week. I am a certified baby and children's sleep consultant and I am here to help you understand more about your child's sleep and how to get them sleeping better through this week. So just a little bit about me. So I've been doing sleep help for around about 4 years now, and I've helped hundreds and hundreds of families through just giving them sensible advice. I work on a kind of a one-to-one basis. I have a waiting list that you can join via the links on my website at sleeptimebaby.co.uk. I also have an online academy that you can sign up to, which I'll be talking more about kind of through the week. But fundamentally, this is my kind of week to tell you all about sleep. So firstly, I wanted to tell you that this week is really pertinent because it is Safer Sleep Week. So the Lullaby Trust are going to be doing some amazing stuff around safer sleep, which I might well share with you as well. And also on Friday, it's World Sleep Day. And so the aim of World Sleep Day is to raise awareness of sleep. So if you're joining me on this week, then it's really, really important that we're all talking more about sleep, because the first thing I want to talk to you about in terms of sleep fundamentals is that importance. I think as parents, sometimes we kind of go, oh God, you know, we're just going to put up with not sleeping and not kind of getting our rest that we need, nor the children as well. So, and we need to know that actually that's not always going to be the case, because you need to make sure that you get the important amount of sleep for you. I'm just going to pause for 1 second because I need to just do something. Right. Sorry, on Instagram, I had you round the wrong way, didn't I? But there we go. So I was just talking about the importance of sleep. So what we need to do is to make sure that we value sleep in the right way. Yes, you'll find that your sleep has probably adjusted as you become a parent. But what you need to understand is it doesn't always have to be that way. It needs to be about kind of what your expectations around sleep are and what you want to do. So don't devalue sleep. It's so important for our children's development, and it's really important for our own development as well in terms of how we feel. So make sure that you value sleep in the right kind of way. Now, in terms of the next thing to talk about, it's really about the difference between babies and toddlers. So if you've got a baby, they're going to have very different needs to maybe a toddler or an older child. Now, what's important about that is to then kind of work out how you address it. So with a baby, you can't really have a conversation along the lines of, oh, so we're going to go to sleep now, and they can't talk back to you because that's just not in their world quite yet. So you need to show them through kind of routines and persistence and keeping going to make sure that they understand what you're trying to get at. With a toddler or an older child, you need to have that conversation. You need to get on to their kind of level. So from a sleep point of view, don't avoid having that chat, but don't make it sort of scary or anything. For me, it's always about kind of understanding the needs of the child. And if you can do that, so whether that's a child that might be a bit anxious around bedtime, or whether it's a baby that is really overtired towards bedtime, then you need to understand those needs to make those proper choices. And we'll go into how to handle that as time goes on. Consistency is one of the most frequently used words that I talk to my clients when I do these videos. It's all about consistency, because if you can show your child that the same thing is, then that is what they'll become to expect. So don't worry about kind of varying things because someone is different. Stick to your, become consistent. We will talk about bedtime and routines and my guide towards that a little bit later on in the week. Now, the most important thing that I would try and share with you today is something that I didn't understand. So my journey to sleep started with my little son, who is about to turn 7. And when he was 2 years old, he had barely slept through the night. And we'd had 2 years of disrupted sleep. And we didn't really understand why. And it was only when we got educated about the world of sleep cycles that we understood what we'd been doing wrong. So if you don't know what a sleep cycle is, let me tell you. Quite simply, a sleep cycle is a circular journey of sleep that goes on. And we have babies who have sleep cycles of newborn age up until about sort of 3 months, 3-4 months, of about 35 minutes long, their sleep cycle. Babies older than that and children up into their teens are around about kind of 45 minutes long. And then adults, our sleep cycle lengthens out to about sort of 90 minutes. These are all kind of rough guys. But essentially, what happens in a sleep cycle is that you go through the different stages of sleep. So you start out with the first stage of sleep, which is kind of that sort of nodding off business. So you kind of like falling asleep on the sofa and you suddenly wake yourself up. And then you get into sort of deeper sleep, and there's 2 sections of that, and then you come back out into lighter sleep. And then there's this moment of wakefulness that happens at the end of a sleep cycle. And that's the most important thing to know, because the whole concept around most sleep consultants' work, and especially mine, is about what happens in that moment. So if your child wakes up through that, and they naturally do, and they're looking for something that had got them to sleep in the first place, then that's where your problem becomes. So that is why sleep cycles are so important. And it leads me to talk about the other really important thing around sleep, which is the use of something called a sleep prop. So if you haven't heard about what a sleep prop is, then fundamentally a sleep prop is something external that helps your child to go to sleep. So that could be a dummy, it could be feeding to sleep, it could be rocking to sleep, it could be having a parent in the room, it could be anything really along those lines. Now, that sleep prop could be waking them up if they're waking up more frequently than you would like them to. So think about your situation. If your child has a dummy or is sleeping really well, or is under the age of 6 months and they may need a dummy to kind of help them, then don't worry about changing these things, and you'll probably not hear if your child is sleeping well. So I'll just put that out there. But if your child does have one of these things, then that could be the thing that's causing them to need to wake in the night. So think about your prop situation. Do you have a prop? Let me know, we can talk about that if you need to, but props can be the major thing in terms of how a child sleeps through the night, how they sleep for longer. If they've got a prop in play, they'll find it much, much harder to do that. So once we've kind of worked out that the sleep cycle is the pattern of it and everything, the next really big thing to understand is the whole role of the body clock. There's a fancy term for this in sleep consultants' world. It's called the circadian rhythm. And what it does is it takes our body on a journey of sleep every kind of 24-hour cycle. So it's the reason why we feel sleepy at certain times of the day, at night time as adults, and why babies will kind of know that sleep is coming because their body clock will adjust. What's different about a newborn situation is up until the age of about, well, it starts somewhere around sort of 6, can extend up to 10 weeks. They have no concept of whether it's night and day. Their body clock hasn't established yet. So you will find that they may be a bit kind of up for a while in the night and sleep for loads in the day. Don't worry about that, it will establish. But if we can place the advantage of the body clock, what we can do with the older children whose body clock is more established is get them to feel sleepy at the right times of the day, which is why a consistent bedtime is always massively recommended. So if you keep your child going to bed at somewhere around 7 o'clock, then they will always know that 7 o'clock is bedtime, and their body will help them to secrete the hormone melatonin, which is the sleepy hormone, helps them to settle down for sleep, and they should settle better for bedtime. And so know your child's body clock and help them to adjust it if it's too late maybe, and we'll talk about timings and everything within the bedtime section in a couple of days. Thing to talk about now is the sleep needs. So what does your child need to sleep? People ask this the whole time, and it varies massively by age. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put up a link in my bio or on the feed just to let you access my sleep needs and awake time guides. And what that will tell you is roughly for their age what they need to sleep, because it's variance, and probably people have got differing children, differing ages. But if you can understand your own children's sleep needs, then that will help you to know where you are, because a child that is undertired will find it hard to settle because they are just not tired enough. So they may have had too much sleep in the day, and a child that is overtired will find it difficult to settle as well, because they will build up the hormone cortisol, which can really it's kind of like the fight or flight kind of mechanism, and it makes us really fractious, and it can cause us to be unsettled through the night. So knowing your child's sleep needs is really, really important. So I will post that link on, and you'll be able to kind of download and work it out for yourself, and it'll help you build across the week in terms of the sleep needs. And the last kind of point to talk about really in terms of tips is the environment, and we will talk more about kind of what the environment looks like. The Lullaby Trust is an amazing resource in terms of what you can have within your child's bedroom. A safe, simple sleep space is basically the key thing. We don't need lots of gadgets, we don't need kind of lots of different things that are going to help our children sleep. It's literally a mattress and an appropriate cover for them is fundamentally enough. White noise is brilliant for children's sleep. You can have it up until the age of whenever, because it's used in adult sleep as well. But I would recommend definitely using it if you're having issues with your child's sleep under the age of somewhere around 2. If you've got an older child, you might want to consider it and see if it kind of helps. So the final point for today is talking about it being your journey. So I offer practical tips and advice, and I help people to understand and make improvements in their children's sleep. That's what I do day in, day out. I've had 2 consultations this morning. We've got 2 extra sets of parents who are on their journey to better sleep. But the most important thing that I always talk about is the fact that it's your journey. So these are kind of my way of sharing information with you. But you've got to interpret it to your parenting style. There are many camps out there that will talk about sleep training as being an evil thing. And this isn't quite that. This is about understanding your child's need and making those improvements to improve their sleep, because fundamentally, vital to them. So remember, it's your journey, and remember that, you know, no one is forcing you to do anything you don't want to, but I'm here to kind of help guide you through those changes to make it the best way possible. We will not talk about crying out. Well, we will probably talk about it, but we won't, because I don't believe it has a kind of a valid place. I think there are many other things that we can talk about. But that today is what I wanted to talk to you about. I wanted to talk to you all about kind of sleep fundamentals, so you can start that building blocks. So maybe the essence for today is to take a step back, look at your child's environment, look at kind of what their routine looks like, what time are they going to bed, and think about kind of their journey to sleep. Do they need to kind of maybe make that a little bit more independent so they can help sleep better? And so that's it for today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to post this all up so you can watch it later on if you need, and I'll put the link on, and I will be back tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to be talking about regressions and illnesses so that we cover that off, because then I want to get on to kind of the meaty stuff. So fab to see you all here today. Thank you very much for joining me, and I will chat to you soon. Take care. Bye bye.